It's Thursday, April 9th. In the headlines, Offshore survey finds hydrocarbons linked to possible oil and gas sources in Jamaica. Local government minister Desmond McKenzie requests proof of sexual misconduct claims by the Jamaica Teachers Association. In business news, Kintyre Holdings says Victoria Mutual lawsuit will not stop growth. And regionally, Antigua and Barbuda's Prime Minister launches Antigua-Barbuda Labour Party election campaign. In sports, Barbados Pride and Jamaica Scorpions set to renew rivalry in West Indies Championship opener. This is the news on PBC Jamaica. I'm Simone Absalom Gale. United Oil and Gas plc has identified potential thermogenic hydrocarbons in offshore samples from its Walton Morant license, signaling further evidence of an active petroleum system in Jamaica. In a statement released Wednesday, the company said analysis of piston core samples collected during its seabed geochemical exploration survey detected C4 and C5 hydrocarbons, including butanes and pentanes, in select locations. According to the company, these types of hydrocarbons are typically associated with thermogenic processes rather than biogenic gas systems, suggesting the possible presence of deeper oil and gas sources. The findings are based on geochemical analysis of 42 piston core samples taken across the license area offshore Jamaica. United Oil and Gas noted that the results add to existing evidence of supporting petroleum potential in the region, including satellite-detected oil slicks, data from previous wells, natural oil seeps, and surface outcrops. The company adds that petroleum system modeling also indicates the likelihood of oil-mature source rocks within the license area. Local government minister Desmond McKenzie is calling on the head of the Jamaica Teachers Association to provide evidence supporting allegations that students are being exposed to sexual acts by people sheltering in schools. JTA President Mark Malava made the claims during the association's 2026 education conference in Hanover.
And the conditions, colleagues, are deeply troubling. Reports of shelterees engaging in sexual activity within the clear view of students is something that everyone should be outraged about. Reports of teachers' resources going missing. Reports of schools being transformed into spaces befitting of tenement yard that no longer represents institutions of learning is something that every individual should be outraged about.
In response, Minister McKenzie, in a statement, said the matter was never reported to his ministry, despite ongoing communication with the JTA about nearly 100 people still sheltering in schools after being displaced by Hurricane Melissa.
It is unfortunate, and in the correspondence that was sent to the Permanent Secretary, there is nowhere in that letter that issue was raised. I am saying to him, if he has the evidence to produce it, because I've asked the police to investigate these allegations. And it is unfortunate that the circumstances that these people find themselves in, that the president of the JTA wants to undermine them and want to, to treat them in a manner which is very disrespectful without providing the evidence.
The minister says his team has received no reports of such incidents and is urging the JTA to provide evidence, stressing that the government remains committed to protecting students while working to relocate displaced families as quickly as possible. Head of the University of Technology, Dr. Kevin Brown, is calling for a major shift in how technical education is viewed, warning that stigma against vocational subjects could hold back Jamaica's push to become a global technological leader. He was speaking recently at the Jamaica Teachers Association's 2026 Education Conference opening ceremony in Hanover. More in this report from Danita Rodney.
UTech President Dr. Kevin Brown says technical and vocational education and training, or TVET, must be placed at the center of Jamaica's education system. He argued that the country has long created a false hierarchy that favors traditional academic subjects over practical skills.
For too long, in many societies, including Jamaica, we created this false hierarchy in education. Academic education was seen as prestigious. In fact, when I went to Herbert Morrison Technical High School, those who were streamed off into sciences in grade 10, they were walking with their heads held high. They were given the best teachers. They were told that you are headed for the UWI Mona. I don't know where the rest of us were headed.
Dr. Brown says TVET, or STEAM subjects, connect education to industry, build innovation, and strengthen national resilience.
Let TVET and STEAM be the center of our education system. It is a strategic national asset for development. TVET connects education to industry. It equips learners with practical, employable skills. It nurtures innovation and partnership, and it strengthens the resilience of our country.
His comments echoes warnings from education leaders that mindset remains a major barrier to embracing science and technology. Dr. Brown says improving mathematics performance is also critical.
So as a country, Jamaica has to pivot towards math like tomorrow. Well, maybe yesterday, because we're late. And 44% pass in CSEC needs to go up. 63% pass in physics needs improvement. And teachers, I know you're trying your best. I know. But we have to keep working at this to get these numbers up. Because fewer engineers mean fewer innovators. Fewer innovators means a slow economic growth.
The UTech president says removing the stigma around TVET is essential to preparing young Jamaicans for the jobs of the future. Reporting for the news on PBCJ, I am Danita Rodney.
Member of Parliament for St. Andrew East Central, Dennis Gordon, is to be summoned to reappear before Parliament's Ethics Committee amid concerns about the accuracy of information he previously provided. The decision was taken during the committee's second meeting on Wednesday, following questions about whether the House's earlier move to exempt Gordon was based on responses given during a closed-door session that may conflict with information later made public. Committee Chair Marlene Malahoo Fort says the focus is not on reversing the House's decision at this stage, but on determining whether the information used to arrive at that decision was accurate. She notes that any inconsistencies would require clarification from the MP.
My understanding is that we would report to the House that the accuracy of information provided to the committee by one member has been called into question in light of information that has been made public subsequently.
Time for the business report with Denise Williams.
Welcome to today's business report. I'm Denise Williams, bringing you the developments shaping markets, capital access, and business decision-making across Jamaica and the region. Let's get into the stories that matter. In a statement, shareholders of Kintyre Holdings Jamaica say plans to pursue a listing on the New York Stock Exchange remain on track and are not affected by ongoing legal proceedings involving Victoria Mutual Investments. The shareholders, led by Tyrone Reed, also emphasize that their shares and strategic initiatives are not subject to any court order restricting their activities. The shareholders clarified that the restructuring relates only to their own holdings and does not involve any reorganization of Kintyre Holdings itself. They further noted that any shares held by VM Investments are subject to separate legal arrangements and ongoing court proceedings and are not part of the restructuring exercise. Despite the developments, the shareholders say they remain confident in Kintyre's growth trajectory, pointing to assets exceeding US $15 million and strong profitability in 2025. Two stocks on the Jamaica Stock Exchange give us an idea of what's happening in the medical industry. CEO of Medical Disposables and Supplies MDS, Kurt Booth, says there will be an increase in the cost of medical supplies in the next 10 days based on information that he says he received from one of the company's international partners. Speaking to RJR News on Tuesday, Mr. Booth said that this is due to the impact of the war in the Middle East and on the destruction of crude oil and chemical facilities, and by extension supplies and prices. That said, another listed company, Indies Pharma Jamaica, is reporting on its financial statements net profit of $181.3 million on revenue of approximately $1.1 billion for the financial year ended October 2025, despite the impact of Hurricane Melissa. The company says revenue declined slightly by about 2.8% compared with 2024, reflecting disruptions to supply chains and operations following the Category 5 hurricane. Motorists will be paying more at the pump effective Thursday, April 9, following the latest ex-refinery price adjustments from Petrojam. Under the new prices, 90-octane gasoline will sell for $184.33 per liter, an increase of $4.50. 87-octane gasoline is also up $4.50 and will retail at $176.88 per liter. Automotive diesel fuel moves up 189.25 cents per liter, while ultra-low sulfur diesel will sell for $196.10 per liter, both increasing by $4.50. Kerosene has also gone up by $4.50 to $178.65 per liter. Meanwhile, propane liquid petroleum will decrease by $3.06 to $77.30 per liter, and butane liquid petroleum will fall by $3.06 to $86.02 per liter. Marketing companies and retailers will add their respective markups to the ex-refinery prices. For the trading period of April 8, 2026, the most actively traded securities were Trans-Jamaica Highway Limited with 22,525,991 units, representing 43.22% of market sales activities. Kintyre Holdings Jamaica Limited with 14,750,681 units, representing 28.3% of market sales activities. Lasco Manufacturing Limited with 3,646,965 units, representing 7% of market sales activities. Investor activity remained concentrated in manufacturing, conglomerate, and transportation plays, signaling continued interest in dividend-producing and strategic assets. Turning to the foreign exchange market based on Bank of Jamaica data for April 8, 2026. Forex traders recorded significant activity with strong demand across currencies. For the US dollar, trading margins reflected steady liquidity, with the US selling at $158.93 and buying at $157.22. For the Canadian dollar, moderate gains supported by $1.19 transaction spreads. The Canadian dollar sold for $114.02 and was bought for $115.21. For the British pound, continued volatility offered short-term trading opportunities of $3.47 in profits for the banks. The British pound sold for $208.54 and was bought for $212.01. These movements underscore the importance of cash flow timing and currency awareness for businesses managing import costs, debt servicing, or overseas exposure. For our credit report tip of the day, sometimes if you position your investment strategy the right way, you don't need a credit report. A margin loan is a financing option that lets you access cash using your investment portfolio as collateral instead of relying on your credit profile. Once your portfolio reaches a certain value, brokerage firms may allow you to borrow a percentage of it. This means you can access liquidity without going through the usual bank approval processes tied to income verification or credit scores. And that's today's business report. I'm Denise Williams, bringing clarity to capital, market, and strategy. Until next time, stay informed, stay intentional, and keep building forward. See you soon.
In regional news, Prime Minister and Antigua-Barbuda Labour Party leader Gaston Brown has launched his party's campaign for the April 30, 2026 general election, declaring it a declaration of an unstoppable movement of the masses and a commitment to advancing the country's development agenda. He also told the Red Sea of party supporters on Nugent Avenue that his party is focused on continued growth, stability, and national empowerment. The details in this ABS News report.
The Big Red Machine came to life on Tuesday evening at the People's Place on Nugent Avenue, placing the Antigua and Barbuda Labour Party in official election mode. Hundreds of enthusiastic supporters turned out to rally behind their candidates while eagerly awaiting Prime Minister Gaston Brown's election date announcement. The ABLP's underlying message? Prioritizing the people.
We care about you. We are not about rhetoric. This institution is about performance, and it's about empowering you, the people.
Prime Minister Gaston Brown tied his people-centric message to safe, strong, and stable leadership, underscoring the ABLP's track record for delivering on its promises.
Who repealed personal income tax? Labour, of course. Who increased the minimum wage? Labour again. Which party is moving from a minimum wage to a livable wage? Labour again, of course. Labour, Mr. Man. Who raised public sector workers' salaries by about 20%? Labour again. And it doesn't stop there. Later this year, public servants will get yet another increase.
The ABLP leader drew reference to his impoverished upbringing, adamant that no citizen should face the hardships he did.
I grew up among the poorest of the poor in this country. And I am committed as your leader to make sure that you enjoy living standards that are second to none. No poor person, no one, no indigent. No one will be left behind under my administration.
From minimum wage to livable wage, infrastructure development, economic growth and stability, improved health and education systems and facilities, Prime Minister Brown and the ABLP is framing this election as a defining moment for the empowerment of the citizens of Antigua and Barbuda. A new era, a renaissance.
This renaissance we are building, this progress we are making, this future we are shaping must be protected, must not be reversed, must not be disrupted, must not be handed over to incompetent and divided people.
Nomination Day is Monday, April 13. Election Day is Thursday, April 30th.
Guyana and St. Kitts and Nevis are strengthening regional cooperation after signing several agreements to deepen ties between the two CARICOM member states. The agreements were signed during an official ceremony by Guyana's President Irfaan Ali and St. Kitts and Nevis Prime Minister Terence Drew. The Memoranda of Understanding focus on agriculture and food security, as well as government modernization areas both countries say are critical to building resilience and improving public services. A separate agreement on security cooperation was signed by Acting Commander Coyote Sutton and Guyana's Chief of Defense Staff, Omar Khan, highlighting plans to strengthen defense collaboration in safeguarding national and regional interests. During the ceremony, President Ali also welcomed St. Kitts and Nevis into the Global Biodiversity Alliance, underscoring the importance of collective global action to protect natural resources and biodiversity. The agreements are expected to further strengthen diplomatic, economic, and environmental cooperation between the two Caribbean nations. Guyana is grappling with what has been described as an unprecedented wave of child disappearances, with at least 11 children reported missing in just the last 2 months. The spike in cases has triggered a war of words between the opposition and the government, even as the Ministry of Human Services and Social Security prepares to launch a new high-tech response framework to track vulnerable youth. More details in this report.
A Partnership for National Unity's parliamentarian Dr. Terence Campbell has raised concern regarding the growing child safety crisis gripping the nation. He noted that these cases underscore the urgent need for stronger child protection systems, community awareness, and coordinated action.
Never in my lifetime have I ever seen so many cases of missing children in such a short time.
While the Ministry of Human Services had announced the establishment of a rapid response team to address child abuse and neglect, he noted that the country is now facing what he described as an epidemic of missing children. Campbell emphasized the need for a dedicated response team specifically focused on cases of missing children, along with the vigorous prosecution of perpetrators involved in abuse and exploitation. He also called for the creation of a national missing persons database to improve tracking and coordination, as he cited that while missing persons reports are frequently made public, there is often little to no follow-up information available. In response to the alarming figures raised by Campbell, Minister of Human Services and Social Protection Dr. Vindhya Prasad, in a video posted Sunday, stressed that she is working to roll out additional programs to deal with reports of missing children. She reminded that the ministry cannot do this alone.
And I want to talk to the parents, the caregivers, the guardians. I want to talk to you all because you need to know where your children are.
Dr. Prasad, while reminding parents and caregivers that they can be charged for negligence, stressed that everyone looks for someone to blame, but in the end, these children have parents and guardians who must take responsibility.
The Ministry of Human Services will intervene with the police force when a child goes missing. But we need to have you take account of your children.
She reminded that any sexual activity with a child under 16 constitutes statutory rape, and the Guyana Police Force will take the lead in such investigations. Minister Prasad said the ministry also receives support from the Child Care and Protection Agency, but also encouraged parents and guardians to build strong relationships with teachers, head teachers, and welfare officers so that they can stay informed and ensure their children are attending school. Marvin Cato reporting for HTP Nightly News.
In sports, we open the innings with cricket. A long-standing regional cricket rivalry will be renewed when Barbados Pride face the Jamaica Scorpions in the opening round of the West Indies Championship, set to take place in Jamaica from April 12 to May 2. Barbados enter the contest highly motivated after narrowly missing out on the 2025 title by 5.4 points, despite a dramatic final day win over the Leeward Islands. Their strong form has extended to matches against Jamaica, with the Pride unbeaten against their rivals over the past decade, recording 8 victories, including a 9-wicket win at Kensington Oval last year. For the Jamaica Scorpions, the series presents an opportunity to upset a dominant opponent on home soil. Captain John Campbell says his team is eager to capitalize on the chance to challenge Barbados and to turn the tide in the rivalry. In athletics, as celebrations continue for the Carifta track and field team following a successful outing at the 2026 Games in Grenada, Prime Minister of Barbados, Mia Mottley, pledged a significant financial injection to support the sport's continued development. The announcement came as she hosted the team at her official residence on Wednesday.
If you thought the celebration for the first group of Carifta track and field athletes was exuberant, the scenes outside the arrivals hall at the Granley Adams International Airport last night took it to another level. Absolutely electrifying. Met by Minister of Sports and Community Empowerment Charles Griffith and Minister of State in the Prime Minister's Office with Responsibility for Youth and Culture Shane Archer, the athletes and officials beaming with pride came back to a true hero's welcome to the sound of the top band, ushering in the team who left the Games with 17 medals, 6 gold, 3 silver and 8 bronze. And the celebration continued today as the team was hosted at Ilara Court, the official residence of the Prime Minister of Barbados. Joined by President His Excellency Lieutenant Colonel the Most Honourable Jeffrey Bostick, Deputy Prime Minister Honourable Santia Bradshaw, and other members of Cabinet and officials of the Athletics Association of Barbados, Prime Minister the Honourable Mia Amor Motley welcomed the team into her official residence, toasting them for their achievements over the past weekend. For the president who interacted with the athletes, he was especially happy to be among the record-winning quartet of Aidan Moore, Jakai Brewster, Shamari Greenwich-Lewis, and Nadal Seal, who ran their way into the history books, winning the under-20 boys 4x400 meter relay. Prime Minister Motley, while expressing her pride at how well the team performed, also pledged the government's continued support for the athletes and the development of sport across Barbados. In addition to putting in a bid to host the 28-28 Carifta Games, Ms. Motley also committed to a significant financial injection into the development of track and field, matching that of major corporate sponsor CIBC.
The government will double what CIBC has given and provide $1 million. And that $1 million will be used for a number of things that we've specifically started to discuss with the association with respect to, one, preparing the junior team so that you can spend 2 weeks on the ground rather than having to travel and acclimatize yourself and therefore not necessarily be in the best of shape to participate in the World Juniors. Secondly, that we will also, as I said, ensure that a portion of that money is used for a national junior nutrition development program, because what you put in is what you get back out. And we need to make sure that nobody is disadvantaged on this journey to be the best in the world.
The athletes also got to sign their names in the book of official visitors to the Prime Minister's residence. The celebrations will continue this weekend with a motorcade for both the successful Carifta track and field and swimming teams.
And that's the news on PBCJ. You can follow us on our social media platforms at PBCJamaica. Thanks for watching.